The Bitcoin Bitfinex long positions are right now hitting highs, and historically when they do hit this zone right here for the last 3 times, this has corresponded with a bottom in the Bitcoin market. And right now I am going to exactly discuss this for today's update video. I will talk about what this basically means for the Bitcoin price action. Obviously, I will be going over the higher low we're currently creating here on the 4-hourly time frame on Bitcoin. I'm going to be talking obviously about this very big level of resistance we are yet again going to retest inevitably. And this and so much more will be getting discussed on today's update video. It is a very interesting time to be in the market, especially right now where liquidity is being built up on both sides there. And that way I am prepared to go long or short of both sides of the chart. So I will be discussing my trades and much more on today's update video. So don't forget to once again slap up that like button back above 1,000 likes will be highly appreciated. And with that being said, let me jump straight away in today's update video. So yesterday, Bitcoin started to pump ever so slightly. First on the Sunday, but then this morning we had a big dump towards the downside. Fill up the CME gap with this wick right here. And then now we have seen once again a push towards the upside. So ultimately, we have filled up the CME gap. And now we're starting to be moving back towards the upside. So all in all, this weekend's price action has been perfect. We don't have any CME gaps so far. And Bitcoin just looks like it is most likely going to at least try to retest that 93,000 US dollar level, which is of course that big level of resistance on Bitcoin, because $93,000 is not just that level of resistance right there, but it's also the yearly open of 2025, and it's provided many times big support, major resistance, and just like it has been doing for the last few weeks here, it has been providing a lot of resistance. So the moment we're going to be confirming the break above this level, in my opinion, it's going to be likely that Bitcoin is going to be jumping all the way up to about 105 to about $107,000. And yes, I've mentioned in many videos before already, since I do believe that we're trading in a macro downtrend, especially if you're going to compare the seasonality of Bitcoin to all the previous cycles. And if you're a believer in the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, it is going to be most likely very obvious that we are right now at the end stage of the Bitcoin cycle. And usually we tend to see very strong bounces, very strong relief rallies. But on those relief rallies, in my opinion, it is best to look at that lower high situation. It's best to look at the macro lower high situation. And that is, of course, my trading strategy right now here. Basically, I would be interested in accumulating positions from off 106.4K approximately. That is, of course, exactly the previous range high in the market. This is also corresponding with a major level of previous support in the market, like you can see over here. This level right here has been providing major support on the previous times. And of course, in my opinion, is going to act as major resistance this time around as well for Bitcoin. So big support is going to get retested as resistance. And in case that is going to be happening, in my opinion, it would be a very great time to be opening up a short position. But in the case Bitcoin, of course, doesn't maybe it breaks above the yearly open and potentially breaks towards the downside, I would still be interested in long positions on Bitcoin, but only on this zone where we got rejected from for 8 months in a row here. Because in my opinion, whenever Bitcoin is going to come back towards this level, it is going to be a no-brainer that we're going to be seeing a strong bounce back towards the upside. But of course, that level on the lower side is unfortunately still quite far away. It's another 20% correction lower. But in theory, if you're just looking at the clear support and resistance map for Bitcoin right now here, it clearly looks like the next major support is, of course, that 72,000 US dollar level. But there are many positive stories right now shaping. For example, if we're looking at the Bitfinex longs on the market right now, they are hitting the highest level of this cycle so far. And historically, whenever the Bitfinex longs do create these major highs in the market, it tends to mark the bottom in the market. At least this was the case for March 2025. It was also the case for September 2024. And usually whenever Bitcoin pushes towards the upside, these long positions get closed and they tend to be marking the top in the market. But I also do want to be mentioning that if we're looking back at the last cycle for Bitcoin, we of course saw very similar behavior on the long charts, which was indicating where the Bitcoin bottom and top was going to get created. But of course, in the big Bitcoin bear market, we have seen a lot of accumulation of these long positions, but it took a very long time before they could sell them off here around March 2023. Well, they opened them up in June 2022. So they hold on towards their long positions for about 10 months here. So a similar situation could always play out here. It's not a guarantee that, of course, since the long positions are right now so high in the market and the highest of the cycle, that it is going to confirm the local bottom. But most likely, if we're looking back at least at the last 2 years, it is an indication a local bottom is going to be formed right now here. Then, of course, I'm always worried about the 100 weekly moving average, which is, of course, trading around $84,000 historically. Whenever you break below this level, it is going to spell something very bad for the market. But so far, it's not happened yet here. But of course, I will keep you guys up to date in case we break below this level, what the historical targets are going to be for Bitcoin. Then, obviously, I do want to be mentioning, guys, if you want to be staying up to date in real time or potentially copy trade me on these trades here and stay up to date on the trades from other professional traders, don't forget to join the private Telegram group here in the second link in today's video description, because in that Telegram group, guys, there's a lot of alpha being shared by not only me, but also other very good traders in the market. So make sure to check it out. It's super, super valuable. Further on, liquidity heat map, still the same story. I've said it so many times before, but there's liquidity being built up around at 95K level and 83. So liquidity laying on both directions. And ultimately, there's going to be a squeeze up and then down, or down and then up here to grab all the liquidity in the market. It's going to be quite inevitable. Then still, in this market, we have seen quite weak institutional buying in the most recent period. And you can see that weak institutional buying usually corresponds with bottoms, or sorry, not bottoms, but downwards momentum in the market as well. It's of course very logic, because these institutions, they accumulate tons of Bitcoin. So this is really something that we need to shift around here in case we want to see that next rally higher here, because institutional demand is just so freaking important. Price action towards the upside. Then, of course, I also want to be mentioning some things about Ethereum. Ethereum is, of course, looking very strong. It is bouncing from off this very big level of resistance. And in the case you want to be trading Ethereum or any other altcoin, on WeX is definitely the exchange where the most amount of altcoins are listed and the fastest way as well. So if you're just in general interested in trading and trading with a low fee here, check out the first link in today's video description to get a 25% fee rebate. And on top of that, you can get a 50% future bonus on your first deposit. So make sure to check it out. It's super, super, super valuable. And in my opinion, the favorite exchange to be trading on. But ETH, realistically speaking, guys, we got the update on the 3rd of December. And it is a very big update. I explained it on the video back then here. But yes, if we're looking back at the last time, we saw about a 50% surge after the update. But now there's not even been a very strong surge. It's been like 2 or 3% only towards the upside. And that really shows you that the market conditions have changed. There is less excitement in the market, especially for altcoins. And it shows you that we are entering, of course, somewhat of a stage where we are potentially in that bear market. More and more confirmations of this fault are being shared to me, especially with seeing Ethereum being weak after such a massive update. So this is, of course, something I am taking into account. Ultimately, ETH compared to Bitcoin is bouncing ever so slightly from this low right here, but it is still in a wider downtrend. It's still looking weaker in my opinion. So yeah, it is sad to see here, but in my opinion, Ethereum is just going to be reflecting the Bitcoin price for at least the coming year, in my opinion, unless Bitcoin is going to be seeing a significant change here where it breaks all the way up towards $150,000. Then, of course, the Ethereum behavior could be changing. But as of in this market where we're currently trading in, I don't see the Ethereum price action really change and just continue to follow Bitcoin. So yeah, that is basically the thoughts I currently have on the market. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, slap that like button, and see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.